Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter John welcoming you to yet another Cutter Top 10 Degrassi video. And today we're going to be looking at the top 10 Degrassi male characters, worst characters in students in history. I know it's a tongue twister, but yeah, we're going to talk about the top 10 worst uh, male students. I know I talked about male adults, and Jade's dad won by a landslide, in a sense. Talked about the worst female um, adult, and that was actually Becky's mom. Talked about the worst female character, student character, and that was that Zoe? Yeah, that was Zoe. That's right. And now I got to complete the quadfecta and do the top 10 male students, most hated male students. So the situation was, of course, the same as it was three pools of five, and then the top two in each pool got to go to the top six, 1 to 6. The third place people and one wild card from the poll of death, which you'll see at the end of the video, were made to be 7 to 10 and all that. There is one tie I had to break, and that was for ninth. Everything else was just like, no other ties, which is unusual. But the fact of the matter is that in the playlist description, in the video description, I should say, you will see the channel that inspired me and the video that inspired me to do it in the first place. That Channeling Chines did this, like if I'm pronouncing it perfectly, because I think she was the one who kind of did it with the top 10 toxic males, and then it was like, well, why don't I do my list of the top 10 worst student male characters, and then I'm like, maybe I'll branch off and make female characters, and even like say, no, you know what? It's not fair to pair the students up with the adults. I just want to see if they could split up. So that's what I did. Okay, so here we go. Number 10 is Claude. Well, I think it's Claude, but it's Claude. Reason being is because he left Caitlin out to dry in that protest and did what he did in Showtime. So in season one of Degrassi High, Caitlin and Joey are broken up. Caitlin finds Claude, who has a lot of interest in cleaning the environment. So when they try to deface a plant that has something to do with nuclear bombs or something like that, they sneak in to deface it. But Caitlin, for some effed up reason, decides to wear like clothes that she is prone to be stuck to something. She is stuck to something, and the security guard catches her, but Claude basically runs off. Claude basically is chicken to go to Caitlin's trial because he knows that the security guard will see him and convict him, and he's got enough trouble with his parents. Of course, he tries to win Caitlin back, but Caitlin doesn't give him the time of day. He doesn't take no for an answer. And then after so many problems with his parents and everything else, he decides in Showtime, that Degrassi High episode, to actually do what he had to do. Basically, he took a gun, you know what? I don't need to explain it any further. Of course, that's when Snake finds him, tells Raj it was the vice principal, not the principal, about it, and things go off. Everyone accuses Claude of actually doing it on purpose at the school to make everyone feel bad about him because he was just a jerk and all that. You're free to your opinion. I think so too. And then, like, people like Joanne felt sympathy for him. So I think it's a 50-50 thing. However, Caitlin gets haunted by nightmares about Claude before Joey snaps her out of it. So basically, Claude deserved his fate. I don't know. Number 9 is Sig. Reason being, well, I broke the tie with Sig because I hate Sig more than Claude. Claude's okay, but Sig was just a manipulative bitch. I don't know why I said that for a guy, but anyway, Sig is a pretty bad guy and all that. I think he used manipulative tactics to get under Cam's skin in season 12, so that he wanted Maya badly, even though that Maya was with Cam, and wanted to steal Maya away from Cam. He kind of did in a sense. Cam tried to apologize and all that. Was going to give Maya's stuffed owl Hoot back, but Sig basically told Cam to stay out of her life. He took it seriously. He did what he did at the JT York Memorial Garden and greenhouse. Sig did apologize to Maya, saying that he probably caused it, but Maya laughed it off. And Maya basically said that, he was Cam was selfish for killing himself. Like, she has a point, I will say that, but she's just traumatized, and she probably feels like she's gonna get a lot of problems to her. Oh yeah, Maya. I mean, it was actually shocking that Maya did not get into the top 10 worst females. Well, mostly her nosiness was because of the trauma with Cam and all that. Emma's was a whole different kettle of fish. But yeah, Sig was terrible and all that. Sig would go with Zoe to try to get on Maya's nerves. All that. He was manipulative. I think he basically took advantage of Maya's weakened state by forcing himself towards her in season 13 and 14. And it didn't help that Snake put Maya in the rubber room with Sig and got them together. Number 8 is Jay. Yeah, Jay did not take top 2 in the poll of death. And of course, I've had to put him in the 7 and 10 poll. Honestly, I would put Jay in the top 6 myself because I hate the guy. But it's not me, it's the Reddit community. So Jay, to me, I can't stand because from seasons 3 to 7, he basically got at least one character to lose their mind, if you will. It reminds me of if you watch Total Drama World Tour when Alejandro sings the song of making certain female characters lose control and put Heather wedged in a hole. He talks about how he did what he did to Bridget, Lashana, and Courtney. I just feel like too that he basically threw shade on Sean, Spinner, Emma, JT, Peter, and maybe even Manny. Season 3, he got Sean to break up with Emma to join his candy bandits and steal stuff for like no good reason. Season 4, of course, he was part of the plan to bully Rick out of Degrassi. I mean, it would be one thing if he actually knew about the Rick situation and he actually had good reason to do so. I mean, Spinner and Paige had good reason because of the whole thing that they were there when Terry's head hit the rock. Well, and then saw Rick run off and all that. But Jay was just in it to be a bully and maybe score brownie points with the cool kids. Who knows? But yeah, he did that. He got Spinner to basically believe his bullshit about blaming Jimmy for everything, which led to Rick shooting Jimmy. Fortunately, Rick didn't kill Jimmy. I think if Rick wanted to kill Jimmy, he would have purposely shot Jimmy elsewhere, but he turned his head. You got to remember that. Spinner did be radically killed, but Jay basically pushed Spinner and Alex to shut up about their roles and the Rick situation and basically said we did the world a favor. Well, Spinner was caught with everything and he located Jay, which was perfect enough. To me, the worst part was that Jay kept Spinner as a friend, and I hated Spinner for being with Jay in the first place, like still being with Jay, but Spinner had no one else to go, nowhere else to go. Season 5, Jay got JT to do drug dealing so that they can afford to live outside of Degrassi, and then they basically, raising a child and all that. JT realizes he can't get out of the drug trade and actually tries to off himself. Fortunately, Jay does save JT's life, showing that maybe there is a heart of gold under that hardened, chiseled chest. And then Jay in season 6 got into the Sean and Peter situation. Emma, Sean, and Peter, that triangle, and then Jay busted himself in and basically told Sean to race Peter for Emma's heart. Sean strikes a pedestrian and practically Jay tells Sean to run away, even though Sean was willing to stay at the accident scene and all that. And it was just shocking that Jay got no accountability. And worse, Sean was going to work for Jay's auto shop. So, like, if Sean had any backbone, he would have probably told on Jay and we'd get rid of that asshole once and for all. My opinion, of course. And then season 7, the whole thing with Manny. Yeah, Jay was trying to fix things, but Manny was trying to set herself up with Jay to get her parents to back off. And they partially back off, but not completely back off. But Jay and Manny have feelings for each other. Even in the Degrassi Goes Hollywood movie, Jay protects Manny from her frickin' future boyfriend or professor, who basically She went to after Emma, after Kelly chose Emma. I think that Manny probably thinks that Emma would be better with Kelly because of Emma's problems with boys. Okay, number 7 is Owen. Massively, a massive prick. Yeah, so basically they brought Owen into Degrassi to be a massive prick and all that to cause trouble towards Riley and Zane and a few other people. I don't know, did he cause trouble to Claire? I think he did. I know it was Fitz, but Owen I think also was there too. But yeah, Owen was just terrible at all that. And it was funny because Owen was transphobic and all that. But the funny thing was, his brother was gay too. So it's kind of strange how he'll show love towards his gay brother, but not towards anyone else who's gay. And this is the perfect segue because guess what? That brother is number 6. Everyone knows who I'm talking about, and it'd probably be Tristan. Tristan to me was a major prick towards Maya and a few other people. And worst of all is that Tristan's downfall was cheered by many people in the Reddit community because he was in a coma. I don't recommend that. I mean, yeah, you can hate on someone, but don't cheer when they're in a freaking coma because karma could bite you in the arse. Anyway, Tristan seemed to be okay. He was actually portrayed at first as a chubby guy who wanted love from another guy. And then he decided to go on a weight loss thing and, you know, collapse. Of course, the actor was wearing a fat suit. But Tristan in season 13 became more of a dickwad, especially with the whole thing with Yates. I mean, Yates was trying to groom Tristan and Winston and a few other characters. And then Tristan had to try to prevent Snake from finding out about this thing. Of course, Yates got canned, and Tristan blows up at Maya saying, "Why can't you just leave things alone?" Maya says, "I was concerned for you." Well, I know you want Miles, but there are other boys that like you and all that. Get your own. It got to the point that Tristan basically ghosted Maya. And worst of all, in season 14, when they were partners in a dance thing, Tristan forced Maya to apologize to him, not the other way around. I think if Tristan had apologized to Maya, he'd get some brownie points, but basically he forced Maya to apologize to him and all that. Tristan, I know, wanted to be with Miles so much. It was a decent characterization. But then people cheered when he was in that coma after the bus crash. I mean, all that. And people also hate Tristan towards Maya because in the end of Next Class season 3 or season 17, as I call it, when Maya is in the hospital room, Tristan types on his computer that he wants pizza, and everyone leaves Maya high and dry. I wonder if that was on purpose or not. Anyway, number 5 in the 1 to 6 poll is Derek because of what he did to Jane and a few others season 6 to 8. Now, Derek wasn't always a douchebag. In season 5, he was trying to be a good guy towards Liberty with the whole adoption thing because Derek was adopted too, and he was trying to give Liberty some advice. And he actually did. He made Liberty JT do a treasure chest for the kid that was going to go adopted and going to Seattle. So Derek wasn't that bad. And the Perino thing, yeah, Derek was kind of bad in that. But Perino, as the adult, should have done better. All that. He got lucky, Perino did, that he didn't get in the top 10 male adults. But anyway, worst male adults. But Perino was kind of threatening Derek and all that. If Perino had taken it professionally, I don't think Derek would have basically turned on him. I think Perino got a massive suspension from work or something like that, but he didn't get fired. But anyway, season 6 to 8, he kind of was a dick, especially to Jane on the football team. Derek and them wanted to bully Jane off the football team. It didn't help that Shep basically protected his guys and says, "Jane, I can't give you special treatment." That doesn't mean anything. If she gets hurt, it's on your fucking head. But yeah, he did that. And let's not forget about making when Rachel comes to the picture as a student. Derek and Dan go after Rachel, and then Derek frames Danny for a crime, and it could have been something to do with racism and all that. Surprised that Derek and Danny still stayed as friends for as long as they did. All that. Let's just say that. Number 4 is Leo, about what happened to him and Ollie in season 13. So season 13 started with the first half of season 13 was practically in France. They wanted to show Degrassi students in France and all that. A lot of people said it was actually shocking that Degrassi wanted to go to France for this whole thing and not like Montreal or like in the Provence de Quebec because it would save them some money. Nevertheless, Ali goes over there with Leo. Of course, Claire was supposed to go there, but she had her sarcoma on her back and she had to, you know, beat cancer. And Maya almost didn't go to Paris because her mother disapproved of her behavior and all that in the wake of the cam situation. But I think because she couldn't get her money back, she had no choice. But yeah, and then Zoe came along, kicked out of her reality show, and basically trying to make friends with Degrassi. However, Ali and Leo was just weird. Ali was just getting back to being a good character and basically one that we can all relate to. But then all of a sudden, she ruins it for Leo. So Leo was his French guy and all that Ali swooned over, and then Leo and managed to get over to Canada, I think on a visa or something. And then, unfortunately, Ali and Leo's relationship was terrible. Leo was abusive towards Ali, and mentally and physically too. Ali does report Leo to the police, but the worst part is that they basically victim blamed Ali because she was 18 and she married Leo. She knew what she was getting herself into. She should have broken it off when she did. Her parents even were on Leo's side partially, which pissed me off. I thought they, I thought those parents had character development. Anyway, Leo left Ali with some mental scars that she couldn't shake for the next few seasons. At least Ali got justice and Leo was deported back to France, but still, it was just horrifying. Number 3 is Peter. Now, when I look at the top 3, I think that he should be number 2, and whoever number 2 should be number 3. But it's what the poll says. So Peter at number 3. Basically, he distributed Manny's topless video and basically was trying to coerce Manny and Emma, Darcy, and Mia to date him. So Peter in season 5 is introduced as this guy that Emma actually fawns over because she wants to get rid of Hurricane Sean blowing through her emotional trailer park. She misses the guy. But then, of course, Peter invites Manny and Emma to a party and all that. Manny has her self-esteem issues. Emma doesn't really help matters. But basically, Peter gets a drunken Manny all by herself and she flashes him. And then blackmails Manny for a new camera. Manny is willing to give him the money, but she can't because of the whole credit card thing. And Peter distributes it. Everyone is fawning over it, if you will, the boys as well. Manny gets kicked off Spirit Squad for what she did, even though she didn't know what she was doing. And Emma even hated on Manny, only because Manny was trying to steal Peter from her. Emma was so attached to trying to get to Peter that she just couldn't find the right way. Fortunately for Emma, she realized her mistake. But yeah, Peter ended up getting massive detentions because of his role, even though that it was revealed at the end of that season 5 episode that Peter's mom is Hatzalakos. She should have thrown Peter out of the school. So, of course, Peter almost learns no lesson. He actually dates Emma in secret. Well, mostly Emma couldn't get past Peter, and Peter may have taken advantage of it. However, he did score some brownie points for telling Manny that Emma may have an eating disorder, and they work together to help Emma's eating disorder. Peter, of course, is jealous when Sean comes back in season 6. I think the writers wanted to break up Pema because of how toxic it was and added Sean to the mix. Emma doesn't give Peter a straight answer about her feelings towards Sean, so he decides to take matters into his own hands for the relationship, plant drugs in Sean's locker, get Emma to believe his bullshit, and he's happy. Sean then races Peter for Emma's heart, which ends up hurting that pedestrian, like I said in the J entry, and Peter gets off with community service and a lot of things, and Sean goes to jail. However, Peter is exposed as Jay and Manny tell Emma these things, and Emma, still blindly wanting to be with Peter to avoid her feelings for Sean, realizes everything and basically dumps Peter off. Peter cries crocodile tears, as he usually would, saying that Emma was the bad guy in the situation, although he was, and then basically took advantage of Darcy's goody goody nature. And look, the guy distributed bad pictures of Darcy to this Adams guy. Peter, I think, kind of knew him, but Peter also was upset that Darcy did not reciprocate feelings towards him. So he basically may have done it on purpose to get back at Darcy for spurning his advances. Even though that Manny and Emma tried to tell Darcy Peter's no good, and Peter says they're just jealous pricks. Worst of all, Darcy stays with Peter at the end of season 6 towards season 7, and Peter thinks he's got the right girl and all that. He does help Darcy through her rape thing in season 7, which actually gives him brownie points. He almost has to go to Regina because Hatsalakos takes a leave of absence to deal with her sick mother, but Peter gets himself emancipated. He stays in Toronto. He loses Darcy to Africa, and then he dates Mia and grows close to Izzy. And unfortunately, Mia goes to Paris and will take her mom and daughter with her, and Peter feels rejected. He goes through a meth thing for 48 hours, but realizes his mistake and tells his mom that he needs help and has a goes back for Peter. He does get a little bit of redemption by the end of season 10, but not complete redemption. Number 2 is Luke Baker, taking advantage of a drunken Zoe and basically getting his parents to try to help him. Luke Baker came up from Florida to Toronto as part of the Ice Hounds, and it's not a Degrassi school team. People think that way, but no. What happens in major junior hockey in Canada? Obviously, I'm from Canada, and obviously, I'm rocking the Kitchener Rangers shirt because today, May the 31st, is the final game of the junior hockey season, the Memorial Cup final between Everett and Kitchener. Just saying. Anyway, so Luke was one of those hockey players. So yeah, you get to play for a major junior team, and they have billet families and all of that who take care of them, unless you, of course, get your parents to move up too, which they did. So of course, Luke and Becky were parents. I mean, were children of a minister and his wife, and basically told to do Christian things that kind of set people off. All that, and then Luke, for some strange reason, decides to have feelings towards Zoe and gets her drunk, and then him and Neil go to town on her. Luke tries to get Zoe to not say anything to the police because he's got a career ahead of him as a hockey player. He's the good guy. He's a Christian. But Zoe says, "You're not anything." And then Zoe does press charges on Luke and all that. Luke tries to get Becky to cover for him, in a sense, saying that Becky may have misremembered things. Of course, Luke tells Becky before she testifies that I covered for you when you lost our grandmother's ring down the sink. However, Becky said no, I actually told her the truth. And then Luke even told Becky the truth. And Becky said on the stand that Luke told her these things. And yet, Becky's parents still want to freeze her for lying, for basically not protecting Luke and all that. The question on everyone's lips will be, what if the tables were turned? What if Becky was in trouble and Luke was the only person to save her? Which he probably. But yeah, the Bakers probably got in trouble. Becky basically couldn't wait to get out of the house and freeze her parents for all that. Yeah, I think they could have thrown Becky out, but they knew they were in trouble. But yeah, Becky did all that. And Luke said he repented in season 14, but Becky says, I don't care if you repent or not. Because of your actions, I'm being vilified and all that. And like you probably, and I think Becky wanted to yell at him saying that basically you got mom and dad to coddle you and all that. You were the one that told me these things. Why didn't you tell them? Offer. And number 1 is, well, I was actually shocked this was closer than I thought by 1 vote. Of the 24 votes, Luke got 6. And who got 7 votes? None other than Rick Murray. I'm actually surprised this was not as one-sided as I thought it would be, considering it's Rick and considering all the damage he's done, even in death. So season 3, this guy named Rick has a crush on Terry and all that. Seems innocent enough, but unfortunately he was psychologically and physically abusive towards her, shoves her against a wall, and then the relationship ends. Great. But then for some strange reason, Terry, needing a partner for Paige's road trip, because Paige is bringing Spinner and Jimmy's bringing Hazel, decides to go towards Rick, saying that she didn't want to be a fifth wheel, although everyone wanted to do all this. But yeah, they try to prevent Terry from making a mistake with Rick and all that. Rick gets pissed off when Paige calls him out on it. He goes to the woods. Terry follows him, and unfortunately, Rick pushes her head against a rock. Inadvertently, of course. He has blood on his hands. He runs off. He's kicked out of school. I think that he wasn't expelled. A lot of people say he was expelled or not. I think his parents pulled him out of school. He might have cried crocodile tears to his parents about everything. So that's what happens. And, we don't see Rick. And it's like, well, he kind of got away with it, but he's being punished. So, 50-50. But then in season 4, after a few episodes, he comes back to the school all willy-nilly without any restrictions, as it seems to the students and everyone wants to beat him up and all that. Paige recruits Emma to try to drive Rick out of the school without breaking any rules. And Rick basically takes a shine to Emma, thinking that, Emma is just being a puppet toward that Paige is making Emma her puppet. But in the sense that, he got Emma to protect him in a sense, but Emma was only doing it because the cause was not to help domestic violence, it was just to add violence towards people and all that. So Rick falls for Emma and all that. He has a inner circle with Jimmy and Toby. Well, of course, he gets Jimmy in his inner circle because he says that now that everyone knows that Toby is Rick's only true friend, they'll abuse Toby and Rick and all that. And of course, there's a lot of problems. His mother said that, she wanted him to go to another school, but he's like, you worry too much, mother. And, it seems like he never changed. He's got the psychological block that, he's going to be with Emma because she cares for him, although Emma was trying to do the right thing despite the school thinking otherwise. But yeah, he had it all stuck in his freaking head. But then, the wheels come off in a sense. He gets paid and feathered, and then we feel a little bit of sympathy for him, although he did cause the trouble with the circles and the X and just retaliating towards Spinner, Jay, Alex, and everyone else. So that's what happened. So then, of course, Emma spurns his advances, and he basically goes back home. He brings the gun. He doesn't change his clothes, which he could have easily changed his clothes. He has the gun and all that. Toby tells him that Raj is going to find out whoever did this and punish him. And Rick actually doesn't think that Raj will do anything about it. But then Rick is ready to shoot Paige, thinking that Paige was the main villain. But then Paige said everything was childish, and Rick realized Paige could not have done it. And he apologizes for what he did to Terry, seemingly for the first time. And then he goes to clean himself up in the bathroom and all that, puts the gun back in his locker, and then Jay and Spinner trick him into shooting Jimmy. Of course, as I said, he turned his head while shooting Jimmy because he had some consciousness. And then he had no filter going after Emma for spurning his advances. Sean and Rick go for the gun, and then Sean shoots Rick, and Rick dies, and all that. And people are actually conflicted, saying that, well, Rick may be troubled and all that, but he brought a gun to the school and all that, so you can't show sympathy at all. Degrassi's probably trying to get us to think that maybe we should have sympathy for Rick. If Rick did not bring the gun to the school, yes, he would have gotten the massive sympathy. He would have won in the end, but he just had to do what he had to do. And in death, it actually ruined Degrassi in a sense. People had massive guilt. I think Emma had nightmares about Rick and all that, akin to Caitlin about what happened to Claude. And I think Jay was the one who snapped Emma out of her funk and all that. Of course, Rick's mother is blissfully ignorant, and as it seems, I think the parents got in trouble for the gun and had to flee Toronto, if you will. But in honesty, Rick dying actually was good, because if Rick was still alive and there was a trial, Degrassi would have been really put through the ringer. But in death, he's just basically smiling, saying that he's ruined Degrassi. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond.